Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Talking more about night vision. You guys really enjoyed the rifle setup video they did a couple weeks ago when we were visiting Battlefield CQB for a training weekend. So I thought it would be a good opportunity while me and the crew are out here at Ben Franklin Range in Pennsylvania with Blake. Sir, how are you?
Good, how are you doing? Good,
man. It's been a great day of getting a lot done.
It's been a long day.
Totally fried. Fun fact, Blake's last name isn't Water. He has a real last name.
This is true.
Yeah, you guys, you can fact check it. It's on the internet. But it seemed like people really liked the rifle breakdown video that we did when we had the whole crew together a couple weeks back. So being that we're out here in the Pennsylvania wilderness where it's actually dark, getting the night vision out, doing some cool stuff, thought it was a good opportunity to walk through the various different setups and accoutrements that everybody has with their helmet setup. So we're gonna dig into that today. Before we get into that, I have to say thank you to my friends at Custom Night Vision. You guys, they make this all possible for me. They're based out of Houston, great company. You guys can head over to customnightvision.com. That's the website. They have a builder for either monoculars, which we'll get into, and binocular devices, all kinds of options, all kinds of different glass and optics and things, and a whole lot more. Head on over to customnightvision.com and check that all out. So big shout out to them. A lot of the stuff you guys are gonna see here today is from them, purchased and provided at different levels and things like that. So we've got, I don't know, math, 8. I think we got like 8 different helmet setups here. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna dive into it. All right, so like I said, we got 8 different setups here in a variety of different configurations, single tubes, dual tubes. I think we got a thermal here. So we're just gonna go through it because that's what you guys wanna see. You wanna know the gear and everything. So Blake, you wanna go ahead and walk us through what you're running?
Yeah, sure. So I just have an OpsCore Maritime. I still have all the OpsCore pads in it. I'm not a huge fan of their harness. I prefer a Team Wendy, but I've got other buckets. I just don't feel like changing it out. It's still good enough. So Ear Pro, I've got my OpsCore amps on here. They're decent. There's pros and cons to the amp. If you have Peltors, stick with Peltors. You don't need to go to the amp. The main reason I stick with them is I do like the mounting arms.
The arms, yeah.
That's really convenient. I do like that part. There's other things that I'm starting to not like as much about the amps now that I've been using them for about 6 years, but they're not terrible. I do have a marker light, and mine is mounted, upside down because of with having my cold weather battery pack back here for the nods. It's easier for me to access the activation buttons with it mounted upside down. I've just got a little extra retention for the battery pack, and of course the obligatory flag. I keep this Surefire Vampire light on this S&S Precision. I think it's the max mount. Maybe I'm wrong, probably wrong. But it allows me to articulate it so I can use this light for searching. And then I have this smaller Surefire task light for when I don't need as brilliant and vibrant of a light.
So more of like a task and admin versus a flood.
And this one does white and blue. So if I have to do any kind of medical work, but I'm not in an environment where I can go white light, the blue light allows me to better differentiate between blood and sweat and someone's pissed themselves. All right. I have my cable running from the battery pack through the loops on this Agilite helmet cover. I prefer helmet covers that have these little webbing loops so I can secure all of that cabling away. I'm using a Narotos arm just because I like a bit more of the height that I can get out of it and adjustability compared to the Wilcox. It's just a personal preference. It's not that it's better or worse. I have a couple hair bands around it to help me retain the cable and mitigate there any snag hazards, utilizing the bungees that come on the helmet as retention to the night vision. My nods are just PVS 31s, and I'm using these RTK caps. So they're day-night caps, and they're just providing me protection over everything. And the big thing, especially on the objective lens, is taking away that shine off of these Tar's ears when I'm not utilizing the nods. These are big, bright silver. They reflect a lot of light. So I just have them up on my bucket, but not over my eyes. I want to keep those covered up. And then I do like the Tarsiers because they're very easy to adjust and get it set so I have the amount of light I want coming in to get the clarity I want and set pretty much infinite focus. So there's definitely a balance to it. It's not perfect, but I like it a lot better than some of the other devices that I've used over the years. I don't keep a battery in the nods themselves.
I was gonna ask, do you recommend the battery pack for folks if it's an option for them, or what's your preference?
Yeah, I prefer and recommend running the cold weather battery pack because you get loads and loads and loads of runtime off of that. And then I never have to worry about remembering to pull the battery. Granted, with lithiums, it's not as much of an issue as like with alkalines.
Right.
But also if I store it, if there's a battery in there, it might turn itself on and it's just running and kills the battery for no reason. So I generally don't run a battery in my nods anymore. I just run the battery pack, and that's that. Not much else to it.
Yeah. And you haven't felt the need to upgrade or change like the Naruto's mount is a little bit older, I think, design wise.
It's older, and the reason that I've liked it is I get a little more vertical adjustment than I do with the Wilcox. Not really a huge issue anymore with having red dots on pistols. It's much easier to passive aim through nods if I have to transition a pistol. But still, for some reason, I want to utilize white light and just use my naked eye. It's a lot easier. So it's set up that I just slightly tilt my head up. I'm looking underneath them. And so I do like that. That's the reason I've really stuck with the Naruto's mount instead of going over to the Wilcox one.
Yeah.
But you can still do that with the Wilcox one. Just this little bit extra vertical adjustment I have found to be easier to work with.
Worth it, yeah.
But the downside is that when I rotate them up, right, I have a much larger footprint than I do with the Wilcox mount. So it's give and take to everything, which is why I generally, if I'm going to have them mounted, I'll just rotate the tubes out of my way.
Yep, and leave it down.
Right, and then I just rotate them down when I want to use it.
Yeah, plus style points. Yeah, right. Which is important. We all know that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll jump to the other end of the table here. This is one of our buddies' rigs. I think this is a Team Wendy X-Fill. I think that's the name. This is the SL, I'm pretty sure, or Super Light. I think that's what it stands for. This is actually really cool. So this has, I believe, a Naruto's Rhino mount is what these are. And he is the only one of us that's cool enough to rock thermals. And I don't even know how to like engage that mount. There we go. So he's got a PVS 14 on one eye and a RH25 on the other. So this isn't like a fusion setup necessarily where you're gonna get both at once. Although you could try it. I hear it's really fun when people puke when they try this. Josh is behind the camera. He's saying it's not a good time. But you can swing one up and the other one down so you can move and operate in things with a single tube and then stop and scan with the thermal device. And these things are really, really cool. I've only been able to play with it a little bit. I didn't know they Bluetooth to your phone. Like you can do all kinds of cool stuff with this, and it honestly really, really makes me want one. And then moving back here, he also has he runs his very similar to yours, it looks like, just an inverted marker light on the back end here. Got some Walker's Ear Pro, a little bit cheaper. I know for a fact he actually has Peltors on the way. So for all you guys that are gonna jump in the comments and talk about trash Ear Pro, it's being addressed, don't worry about it. And then just a multicam helmet cover and a TNVC, I think this is a real TNVC Mohawk on here, so counterweight. Pretty cool setup. Honestly, I think the thermal combination is just wicked if you have the funds to get into something like that. It's kind of expensive, but not quite as much as getting into a decent set of duals. So it's an option for those of you guys that are interested in that. And like you were saying earlier, like the Team Wendy, the retention system, like I think tops on the market in my experience. I really find it comfortable. The BOA.
Yeah, the dial is just a lot easier to work with than what's on OpsCore.
Yeah, and we'll look at the next one here. This is my helmet. Is a Galvion Cayman ballistic, and it tries, I think, to mimic what the Team Wendy does. Getting to this dial is a real pain in the butt, and it's cool. It's just not as good as the BOA. You know, it's close. The helmet's really comfortable. I think the padding in these is outstanding. I really, really enjoy it. You guys have seen this in my videos I'm not gonna belabor the point, but some Lloyd Innovations MH1s with some L3 white phos tubes in there. And then, I'm sorry, this isn't mine. This is not my helmet. It looks very similar to mine. This is Kyle's helmet, because these are the new Comtacs, the 8s, I think. Yeah, so these are the 8s. Still L3 tubes in the MH1. Have the Manta, I think it's what it's called, the Manta strobe on the back. Also a cold weather battery pack on the rear here, because LLI finally does have the universal battery compartment, so you can eventually run a cable up for your battery. And these things are they're really, really light. You ever mess with these? They're a super light setup. Like, I think it's like 2 pounds for the helmet, something like that. Compared to like some of the more legacy options out there.
There's definitely very obviously all the weight in the front and the nods.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a tuning thing. I feel like, do you know personally, like when you're setting up your helmets over time and everything, how long does it usually take for you to get stuff figured out with like counterweight and balance and all that? Like for me, it's a couple months usually, because I don't use them every day.
Well, I use them almost every day for 20 years.
Yeah.
So
maybe a week.
It's pretty simple now. The biggest thing is how you adjust the straps. For me, if you have your straps set up well, or basically you get a little more tension in the rear straps than in the front ones, it'll help pull that helmet back. I mean, because the battery pack is about half the weight of the actual night vision unit. So by itself, right, it's not going to offset the weight of the night vision.
Right.
But then you've got the strobe back there, that's a little bit more weight. Again, with me having the ear pro connected to the back, it's biasing a little more weight. And then once you put your ear pro on and it clamps in, that also helps hold the helmet where you want it and kind of mitigates some of that weight and that sag, is what I have found. There was a time where I did carry an extra like 1/4 pound weight behind the battery pack, but it just made that helmet really heavy. And it was already a simple high cut ACH, which is already much heavier than more of these newer helmets. So it's a beast.
Yeah.
But you get used to it. But I'd hand it off to other people and they wouldn't even want to wear it just to look at the stars.
A simple no thank you. Yeah. And I think this is probably close to that. This is an older helmet design. So this is Josh's rig. It's a OpsCore Maritime, I think.
It's a Fast SX. It's just the older generation.
SX.
It's the older generation of Fast.
Okay. It just looks like the Maritime because it's
the heaviest helmet.
It's hydroed.
With my nods.
Yeah, it is beefy. The AB Night Vision, the NVGs here, fixed bridge, really durable, like can run this stuff over with a car, drop it from a plane. I think there's videos on YouTube of all that, but really robust. I think you have some green Elbit tubes in here, some XLSHs, which are like the bottom line of Elbit, but they're fantastic. Like honestly, I've had them. You've got them in here. You've had great experiences with them. And then you have some 5s, Comtech 5s. I think, yeah, with dual lead on here, which I don't think you even knew that when you got them on tax swap, which is a funny story. But and then counterweight in the back. Yours is pretty well balanced. We were looking at this last night. Like this is just, I mean, if you put your hand into a fist, right, put your helmet on it, it should balance itself if things are set up pretty well. And I know you did a lot of work on the padding in here between some USGI pads, Galvion, and OpsCore. There's like this, this like bastard amalgamation of helmet pads. But I mean, honestly, eliminating hot spots, it's totally worth it. Those headaches are killer, especially if you actually had, like, for us, it's not a big deal. For you doing work and stuff, I'm sure it was pretty miserable being out on patrol. And
it's been nice that the pads have been improving over the years, from the old PIS GT Kevlar helmets that just had like cordage weave and a leather headband,
like the basket thing in there.
Like starting to get different pads. Then I got a Mitch helmet and the nice pads are in that, to what's with the OpsCore pads and the Team Wendy pads. I have no complaints anymore. And it's, now I'm that old guy that's out there training, you know, Air Force and Marines and Coast Guard, and they start complaining about their helmets, and it's like, back in my day.
Bust out the back in my day stories.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm old.
Yeah. Okay. All right, this one is mine for real this time. So this is another Galvion, came in. Comtac 5s on this with the Low Light Innovations MH1. I will say on the back here, so I have the Faro battery pouch. This is just a 3D printed case. I don't have an external battery on here. I don't usually run mine long enough to really necessitate a battery. It's something I'm looking into just for pure convenience. But this, I can fight this thing out and crack it open, and it's got some 123s and a couple AA's in there for whatever I might need. And then just stock factory padding in here. Nothing huge, nothing world shattering. This isn't even a real Hellstar, just a Amazon clone that I picked up for like 30 bucks just to see how it works. I really like the controls on it. It was much simpler than what I was running previously. And there are videos on this already. So we got some 100 Concepts caps on the front of here just to protect the device. I think that's something you'll probably notice on most of these, you guys, is that every one of us has invested a ton of money in these. It's not something that you just lightly get into, especially if you're running duals. And protecting your investment for $100 or maybe 200, I think, for the Tarsiers, something like 250. I don't know.
Yeah, the Tarsiers are a little bit pricier, but
worth it.
They're worth it. And you can, and I cover this a lot, you know, when I put stuff on social media, you can DIY a lot of this stuff. And you can get, you know, some Butler Creek scope caps and some microscope irises and make your own combo focus research hoplite Tarsier. But unless you have a way of getting the, you know, impact rated glass over it, it's not going to be as protected. Depending on the care and time you take to put it together, it could be a really good project to last you a long time, or it could fall apart your first, you know, airsoft session. Because you didn't put the time and care into it. And I say that because, like, I understand a lot of this stuff does cost money, and it can be taxing. It can be, you know, make it like exclusive to get this stuff. But for me, I recognized pretty quickly that the stuff I was getting issued, even when I got to like Force Recon, wasn't always the best. So
in the military,
to then, you know, go out, and especially now with how advanced the market has gotten compared to when I first joined in 2001, there's a lot of really good stuff out there, and it was my profession, it was my life, so I was more than willing to spend the coin in order to get this stuff. And then, you know, I eventually got married, had a family, got a little bit less to put towards it. So then it just became making better financial decisions to get the stuff that I need and that I want.
Yeah. How old is the duals that you're running?
I bought these when I retired, so that's now 4.5 years.
Yeah. And any issues with them? Still going strong?
Yeah, they're just fine.
Yeah. I mean, basic care and maintenance, like your vehicle, like anything, preventative maintenance is always good. And then like basic stuff like caps and retention and stuff goes a long way to protect your investment. Moving down the line here, this is actually my favorite one on the table. I love this helmet. I just didn't want to wait the time to get one. This is I was very specifically told, this is the MTEK Flux. It's not the Strike. So MTEK does make another helmet. This is the Flux, and I think it's one of the lightest on the market, if not the lightest ballistic helmet. Not sure on that, but so there is I know it's an Elbit white phosphor PVS 14 up here. And these are Comtac, I think these are Comtac 5s. I think they are. And just a simple, you know, multicam helmet cover. You got a couple different strobes on here, and a simple counterweight pouch. And I know a lot of guys get real bent out of shape. They get real twisted. You know, I don't want to run a single tube. Now, we were talking about this earlier. You deployed a couple times with 14s. Still effective?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely prefer having my dual tubes now.
Sure.
But yeah, and until recently, you know, the infantry guys were still running 14s. It's only been the past few years that the Marine Corps started changing out the standard from the 14 to PVS 31 for Marine infantry. So now most of the boys also have dual tubes, which is great, but the 14 is still effective.
Yeah, it's a great option. I mean, like you said, duals are preferred, but you're not exactly at a disadvantage with this compared to people without night vision. And even retentions, this is just 550 corded with a little S-beaner here onto the shroud itself. So if you don't have the extra coin to get into retention, which is getting cheaper. There's great options out there. You know, you have other options. The one thing I will say about this is the harness in this one is a bit different. So this is just like a regular chin strap helmet. Where we see with like OpsCore has the Oct dial or the worm dial. There's been iterations, I don't know. You have the BOA with Team Wendy. I should know what Galvion's is. It's sort of like those. They have
Galvion's.
Yeah, they have their own version, their own name. I don't know. This is very similar to like the Cry airframe, where it's just kind of like an H strap or something like that, which honestly not a big deal if the pads fit and you clamp down your ear pro. And speaking of the pads on this one, this is actually a combination of the MTEK padding and the Protection Group Denmark memory foam pads. So if you guys are having fitment issues with your own helmet, the PGD pads are available, just a pad kit you can get for sub $100, and you can mix and match until these fit you correctly. I think pads and sizing and things to avoid hot spots is probably the best money you can spend if you're talking about improving your night vision experience once you have the unit. And then the last one here, this was my original setup from a couple years back. This has become the loaner setup I hand out to people that either are working on saving for nods or haven't tried it, want to experience it. So this is just a Team Wendy bump. I recommend this to pretty much everyone. Like you're balling on a budget, man. The Team Wendy bump helmet, it's really comfortable. The BOA system we've talked about, it's no end already. And if you go check out customnightvision.com, not so shameless plug, they give you like a 25% off discount code, like right there on the site. It's a sub $400 bump helmet, and the comfort is, I just don't think it can be overstated. These are the Gen 2 rails on it, so they've upgraded. You can't really get these anymore. It's fine. They weren't that great to begin with. Do have some older Peltor Comtact 3s on here. A little shameful. This is a Amazon copy of the Mohawk, and up front here, just some 31s with the Elbit Elbit PH white phosphor tubes in here, which are very nice, and some very unobtainium nod caps that we won't get into for some reasons. Yeah, if you know, you know. But this has become the loaner setup for people. And I used to really like this Nightcore strobe. These things were awesome. And it comes with this little holder you can just pop out, and this little guy you can clip it on your shirt or whatever, and then just plug it in. And then they like decided to re-engineer it, and it got twice as tall. So it went from being like a really cool slick option to being absolutely horrendous looking. So I just, I mean, this is still on there, but there's a bunch of options, as you guys can see from what we've talked about here on the table. Got a little task light up here from Princeton Tech. These things are cool if you need it. Maybe if your unit doesn't have an illuminator built in. Some of them don't. So lots of options, you guys. Almost all of this. I don't think all the helmets are available at Custom Night Vision. Most of these units are available there. And if you have questions, they're a huge supporter of the channel. So go ahead and check that out for yourself. Let them know that Prepared Mindset sent you guys. Great selection, great dudes down in Houston doing some awesome work. And hopefully this was helpful and illuminating, or at the very least, entertaining for you guys. So Blake, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hopefully you guys found this enjoyable. We'll catch you on the next one.